All right, I believe we're live. So this is going to be a short video for our Saturday afternoon. I know we spoke just after Easter, and we're going to be doing another video Sunday, a little bit more in depth. But today I'm just be doing some updates for the channel, and it looks like the video is coming a little bit yellow, so I'm going to have to make some changes there. So this was originally supposed to be a Q&A video, but I think a lot of people are just resting from the holidays. So we're going to try again Sunday night, probably around 6 or 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'm recording out of Texas. So just to let you guys know, this is a live video as of now. So the live video is for 2322. And you can chat live with me if you have questions about Section 8 housing, low income housing, and so on to get some of those questions answered. Now, one of the things I want to bring up is, besides the Q&A, before y'all start asking questions, is now working with a new developer out of Miami, Broward County, and so we're looking at, I think, Broward and a few others around the Miami area. If you live out there and you're a family, potentially a 5 bedroom household, that will be adding that. So y'all know I deal with really big landlords. Sometimes they're big management companies, but in this case, it will be Florida and around the Miami area and also the county. And so when that comes to fruition, I believe that somewhere around 100 units. And these would be really nice. And so your first point of contact for those of you struggling to deal with housing in Miami or the county over there probably would want to be me because I'll be reviewing the applications. And you know, and that it's a rare jewel when you're actually talking with the same consultant that actually deals with the properties here and there. As you know, I've got hundreds of landlords around America, including California and so on, that I consult for. So we'll bring up some more details about that Sunday. Mr. Good Redmond, how are you today? And Sarah number 2 says hi. Hi Jay, not much on my mind, but looking forward to see what this video brings out and information wise. Thank you for all your help in the past, present, and future. I appreciate that, Mr. Good Redmond. Joe Queen, welcome back to the channel. Good to see you again. So today, like I said, is again going to be about the Q&A, and until y'all start asking those questions, I'm going to talk about what we should expect for 2022. Look, guys, we're approximately 30 days out from summer. Now, I realize we all have a different idea what summer is, and it's going to be a very serious market. We've already watched rents jump anywhere from 15% to 30, and another adjusted rate of around 17%. That means that it is harder now than it ever has been throughout history to get housing and vouchers. One thing that I've encountered, it was difficult through the pandemic, but because of the explosive market where former landlords had properties that are now worth a lot more, they're now exiting the market and it needs a lot less housing. So, as a cautionary note to many of you, if you're thinking about pursuing a voucher, dealing with low income housing, affordable housing, subsidized housing, and so on, you better step on the gas in relation to that because it's going to get very serious for this summer. It already has been. I know I work with probably anywhere from a little under 1,000 people a year to over 1,000, whether you're a private individual that needs a consultant to help you get vouchers, or if you're, a landlord that's looking to understand the process. That's what I've been doing for between 8 and 10 years on YouTube. As you can see, our website and then our company and so on is up there. I work in all 50 states, and I'm widely known across most states. Most people know who I am. PP, how are you today? Hello, got a new sub here. Well, welcome, PP. Glad to have you. Again, guys, we just got set up in the new office here, and I know it's really yellow. I'm working on that. Also, what I'm going to do is entertain doing this on our patio. It's beautiful, plants and everything. It may not be the most professional environment, but one thing that I quite enjoy is being able to convey and help and teach, but also be able to do it in a nice way. And I think that maybe the office environment could change a bit. So we're going to try on the patio with a little bit of gardening and stuff, and also with the big fish tank that I'm setting up, just to kind of give a different look. We don't always have to be so serious and so professional. So I see we got more comments coming in. Simigo says, "Hi Jay, looking forward to working with you on 5-2." Well, I'm looking forward to working with you too. I got to be honest. There are 2 times a year, guys, that I work with clients that are usually the slowest. Okay, and those times is around Christmas. Nobody is interested in flicking me one wooden nickel during Christmas. Matter of fact, from December 15th to about January, the second week of January, most people avoid spending money on anything but their family. And I totally get that. The second time is right after tax season. April's been a pretty slow month, but it's still busy. So, just in case you're wondering about how busy or slow things really are, um, January, February, March, I get hammered extremes. Most of you have seen that through those of you who've been following our channel a long time. I get hit so hard I was working 18-hour days throughout the pandemic. There were many times I've had to close this company for 2 weeks, several times a year, just from pure burnout. You work a lot of cases, you work with a lot of landlords, a lot of work, but we all have jobs and we all need to do them. So, anyways, let's see who else was commenting here. The background looks good. And so, yes, this background we purchased, almost a year ago. It didn't work out in the last office. I've erected it again. And like I said, once you correct the lighting and get it bright white, I think it'll do well. Uh, Silk Shields. Sound is not so great. The sound may be bad because of the air conditioning and the fan that I'm running right now. I'm going to work on the sound. Believe it or not, I have very expensive audio. But when you have a lot of different background noises, it may not be so well. So we're going to turn it up a notch. So I'm waiting on you guys to kind of ask questions. And again, when y'all do that, I'll start answering them. But until then, we're going to talk about some fairly random things, including the overheated market. Laura and more. Hi, Jay. Thank you for all your information. Laura, thank you for being the first person today to thank me. Most of you guys don't realize this, but over the course of a decade on YouTube, I've made more videos than even HUD. There's nobody that even comes close to the number of videos in the library that I've created for you all, absolutely free. You're talking about hundreds of hours, over 10 grand in equipment and everything, to put this stuff together, to teach y'all how to navigate a system that was designed a lot like court is. The reason you can't represent yourself in court is because you need a really expensive attorney. I've tried to unravel a lot of this, working with housing authority, former housing authority directors, former employees, and current ones. So I have a very broad network of people that I work with, including other attorneys that practice law in many of the states that I work in. Anyways, let's see. I want to thank you for being the first person to thank me today in the video. So Laura goes on to say, what advice do you have for someone who has a Section 8 voucher and having difficulty finding someone to accept it? Well, Laura, you have to pull at every stop of that, clearly, and I think that you have. One of the more successful areas, and believe it or not, out of all the things I've tested, including affordable housing online, using the housing authority list, and then, of course, you have Google filled with a lot of deception, a lot of fake websites, is actually Facebook Marketplace. If you've had your Facebook account long enough, it will present you with a Facebook Marketplace, and that is a place where landlords go. And in fact, I've had greater success with that than I've actually had using Go, Section 8, and the other resources. So I would say that that would be probably one of the best ways to go out and touch base with landlords. Shook says, just wanted to say hi. Well, hi to you. Glad to have you here. Gale Resources, welcome back. Just as a cool mention, Gale Resources have been around for a very long time on our channel. She works in a similar arena that I do, and we always appreciate having her here. Six says, I just had an update. I'm working on studying the information, and I've been doing it for a couple of days, but I'm trying to soak it up mentally, and it's taking me some time. Well, to be frank with you guys, when you read all the policies, procedures, data manuals, Title 24, subcode, and then you're talking about local codes, and then, of course, the Housing Authority's policy procedure, you're talking about thousands of manuals, over 10,000. You realize every time we change a president, we change policies and rules at HUD level. Those mandates and rules come down from those directors that are issued down to housing authorities. And so imagine trying to keep track of every county in America, thousands of them. So y'all see the fight that I have. And in fact, election season is one of the toughest because they tend to change a lot. But I think one of the bigger changes that has happened is the pandemic has put strains on the system we've never seen before. We thought it was hard in the old days. It was hard through the pandemic. And then, of course, we watched an explosive housing market with rents getting increased and so on. And we're going to watch this play out throughout the summer. And I believe we will see probably one of the biggest fireballs we've ever seen in history with this. When I say fireball, I mean the market isn't just red hot, it is white hot. And even I'm having difficulty as a consultant using some of the nearly 20 years of experience I have with clients because a lot of housing authorities are half staffed or not even open. It's taken increasingly a longer and longer time to be able to perform casework for clients and get things done. We're still having, I would consider above average results, but still not anything near what we were having pre-pandemic, and that's because the level of difficulty in order to navigate the system and get things for clients quicker, including vouchers, subsidized housing, and so on, is taking 5 times as much effort, 5 times as much work, and of course the response times from housing authorities and so on is greatly increased. Going on, looks like Earth Wisdom says, "What kind of trouble can a landlord get in with HUD?" Well, you can get in all kinds. I would start at some of the discriminatory fair housing laws is where I would start if I were you. Also, reading if you're going to do business with the housing authorities in HUD, I would definitely read your HAB contract to ensure that you're using the same policies and underwriting your contracts and that you're fairly dealing with everybody. If you tell people that I'm only accepting clients with a certain credit score, it has to apply to everybody. Landlords have a terrible practice of cherry picking people based on a lot of things, and that might work on that might work on market rate, meaning cash payers with a job. But when you deal with HUD and their clients that have vouchers, as a landlord, you have to understand they have additional federal protections. And if you start violating those things, then you get a particularly nasty tenants that's well apprised of the federal, state, and local rights. It could be quite a thing can play out on you. Okay, so I'd just say that you should operate within the bounds of the law. I would refer you to Title 24. I also refer you to most of the fair housing rules that they have out there. Okay, looks like that's about the end of the questions. Hasn't been that many. Good Redmond. So Good Redmond goes on to say, you wouldn't happen to have a list of the top cities or states with more availability. There's no national database with that. I have a database in my head, and to be frank with you, Good Redmond, it changes. It changes almost monthly. So I might make recommendations in this video, and then they might completely change next month. I would still say that the Midwest is still good. Texas is still good. Let me tell you where the bigger issues are going to be: New York, New Jersey, Maryland, Florida, California. That's where your bigger issues are going to be. Certain parts of the East Coast going down, and then of course your southern states tend to be problematic from underfunding. Amy Guzman says, "Hi Jay, I have 50 days left. My credit isn't bad. I haven't built up. You built it up over the years, but my dad has excellent credit, helping me, putting me with the credit line. Any advice?" Well, credit's a small factor in obviously getting an apartment. The question you're posing is without letting me know whether or not you have a voucher or you're intending on getting a voucher. So I'm a little bit at a loss there, Ms. Guzman. Semigo says, if all goes well, I am provided a voucher which allows me to choose a property and rent. Yes. So in that case, Semigo, what would happen there is if you have a housing choice voucher and it's not tenant based, it's not project based, it's not subsidized, then in fact you would have the choice to live where you like within the jurisdiction of the housing authority that you're dealing with. If it's not within the jurisdiction, you would just want to start speaking with them and the portability specialists to start the billing and absorbing process to see which would be applicable to the new area you want to travel, which may mean a different county in the state or another state. Shook Shield says, "How much for an appointment?" So just to be clear, guys, I'm going to post a couple of links about consulting, and then that way you can look at the prices for yourself. All right, to be clear about prices, one thing that I offer very well is the initial consult is $45. Okay, that to me is reasonable. It keeps it in within a reasonable bound. That call is about figuring out whether or not casework would be appropriate for you. Most of you understand I do not walk in water. I don't perform miracles, and that getting vouchers does take time. Okay, for most of you guys, I would recommend a minimum of a month casework if you have a complex case dealing with other factors, including discrimination or other housing issues that do not require an attorney. Then I would recommend several months of consulting. Okay, for those of you that are dealing with portability issues or smaller issues, then I would recommend just 2 weeks. So I don't sell packages and all that hustle and game. I sell segments of my time. And that means I'm working with you on your case, trying to get you what you need within a period in which you need it. As far as success rates are concerned, I would say on an average over a course of time that our rates are between 90, around 90 to 93% success rate. That also means that there's an adjusted rate of 7 to 10% failure rate, which means sometimes nothing happens. We're unable to achieve the goal. That's reality. If we lived in a perfect world, then everything would go perfectly, right? Unfortunately, I don't like to gamble with my time. So my suggestion would be that you probably have better odds with me than you would mine a scratch off. But we do have to be realistic. Sometimes cases don't work out. Generally, I do not accept cases where I feel that it's going to go badly. But this we're dealing in the most mixed time that there is. There's so much adversarial things going on. Working on cases during a pandemic, during the height of the worst housing market I've ever seen, is problematic. Okay, so all things are at risk, but I think that despite the intensity of things through the last 2 years, I still think I'm doing a pretty good job. I'm not always, like I said, again, I'm not always successful, but I think more often we are seeing clients still get what they need. Just to be clear, guys, I don't sell vouchers. Okay, I utilize things the same way. Let me put this in a perspective. If you went out and you murdered somebody and you went out there and got, say, Johnny Cochran to represent you, do you think that lawyer's going to go in there like he just went to church? No. He understands what the loopholes are. He understands how to navigate that system, and he knows how to make the law work for him, right? So, in the same principle, you could see how my service works. Over the years of studying this, I could just be a general consultant, one that just knows how to do things on an average level. Well, look, any chimpanzee can go out there and fill out an application, but understanding policy procedure and how to speed the system up and get what you need quicker, something that I'm quite good at, actually. Um, so, as I'd mentioned, Johnny Cochran and the murder and all that, there are definitely things I do that rapidly speed up, turn 10 years into very small periods of time. Okay. It's not an absolute guarantee, but I think that there are ways to navigate the system quite fast. Gale Resources goes on to say, you are seeing any areas of turning properties into low income. So the homeless situation, well, we're seeing a lot of funding, but nothing's really been built or developed just yet. So I see the right kind of funding coming through nationwide through different cities that address things like permanent supportive housing, rapid rehousing, and emergency housing voucher for the homeless. I'm seeing that. I'm seeing the right funding levels. What I'm not seeing is the infrastructure being put in place. In other words, enough landlords participating. We may start to see that play out better in 2023 through 2024 as more federal funds are being used by developers and in that respect. There's been a lot of interest from landlords I deal with that contact me on the flip side of things that have shown a keen interest in accepting those type of vouchers and willing to take the risk on accepting homeless in their buildings. That stuff has to be incentivized. Okay, so just to be clear, Amy Guzman goes on saying, I have a Section 8 voucher. So in that case, Amy, if you have a voucher, then uh, God, I'd have to scroll back and kind of see what the first question was. One was forgotten. Okay, so in relation to what you're saying, you've got a voucher. So I think your bigger issue is going to be meeting the rent standards. So I think landlords, besides credit, are mostly trying to see whether or not you have an income that would this two or three times the rent. I think that the credit score is not going to play as big a factor as you might imagine in this. Good Redmond goes on to say, first I've seen motels used for housing the homeless. Yes, that is actually a metric that often. A lot of hotels are now being converted over to SRO, which means single room occupancy, or one bedroom, one bath, and so it's actually beneficial to both the homeless and also the developer to buy that way because they can get 100 to 300 units at a hotel converted over, and then they're able to offer rents in a reasonable area. In other words, they're paying about 15 to 20,000 a key, meaning a doorknob, and they're able to offer rents that are reasonable and be able to utilize things like rapid rehousing, permanent supportive housing, and so on. Trish, how are you today? Glad you're feeling better. Well, I'm still struggling to breathe right now. As y'all know, I caught a cold. Uh, it's a little bit of a cold, but it's like a head cold. I felt pretty bad for about a week. So I'm still trying to get through that. And then today, I had a mechanic work on a truck that I bought this new, and he put aftermarket parts. I had to bring this up, man. Paid like $700, and then truck don't work right. And then my mechanic just hit me with a $2,000 bill. I got to tell you, it's just not the kind of day that I'm having. So we're hoping this week just goes on by. I'm ready for Monday. Uh, so yeah. Gale Resources says the GSA didn't do their follow up. So how many more? Yeah, it is very frustrating. Gale Resources. Pink Girl Me LLC. Well, Pink Girl, it's got the interesting name of the day, so I'd like to acknowledge her. Hello from Poco, Colorado. Well, at one point I had an aunt out in Colorado, and I visited there. Quite enjoyed that, especially when you get up around Mile High. Good Redmond says that's a bummer. Guys, you'll have to excuse me. I gotta blow my nose. I don't want to do this in the middle of the video, but I've got to because I'm about to choke. Oh goodness, man, it's terrible. Whew. All right, so Good Redmond says that's a bummer. There's so many abandoned motels. Yes. Well, the problem is it was working well. A lot of my big developers were buying up these motels and then converting them over to accept vouchers and so on. But then the market got overheated, and now they want too much money for them. So I think in 2 years when this bubble pops, a lot of my landlords may revisit that and actually make a go of it. So, anyways, Pink Girl Me LLC. I'm currently serving on the Colorado Department of Local Affairs. Lived and experienced homelessness imminently. Okay. Well, a lot of you guys may not realize this, but prior to my career dealing with housing and vouchers and all, there was a video I made here in the channel. I spent nearly a decade on those streets. I myself was once homeless. I once had my own life fall apart. It's through situations like that where you find yourself dealing with a system that doesn't work very well, and it's through that where you choose to fight and learn and move on. Of course, that was a long time ago, over 25 years ago, but I'm putting that out there publicly. Most of you already know that, but I don't just, that's the thing about it. We hear that old saying, walk a mile in a man's shoes. Well, I've walked about 10 miles in most people's shoes. I've been there. I know what it's like to lose everything, not once, twice, but three times. Did that. Dealt with the streets, dealt with homeless shelters. I know the system quite intimately. I may not know it as of current, the new decade in the last 20 years, but I certainly have experienced it face first, and I understood just how. Let me be very frank. How much bullshit is completely unnecessary bullshit that people are put through in order to get things, including vouchers, get through the system, applications, and dealing with people that are rude, condescending, and personally don't give a shit whether you live or die. So I can tell you, many of you guys, that you're only preaching to the choir when you talk to me. In fact, that's one of the reasons that I translate so well to people, whether you came from a good home or whether you came from a trailer park or you came from the hood. It's because I understand what it means to go from 0 to 100 and back, because I've been there at one point in my own life. And I think that's what makes a big difference and how I view and how I work on cases, because there's a personal element that most people that would be in my field wouldn't have any understanding of. That's why we have people that are writing laws about low income and so on that have never experienced a day in their life where they weren't swimming in money. They're out here writing laws, right? So at least in some respects, that I do understand the system. I know it quite intimately. City Survivor. Oh, I missed it, but I will watch. Well, City Survivor, you haven't missed anything. It's still live. I'm still talking. So, Gale Resources. That's why Jay is the real deal. Well, I'm as real as it gets. And many of my videos, I think, convey that through many profanities. The fact that I can level with people no matter where you come from, that I can speak whatever language is necessary to convey that message to people. Sometimes I lack complete professionalism, but that's the thing about this. People need real answers. They don't need somebody sugarcoating shit to them. People need to hear exactly what it takes and what they need in order to get this done. There's too many people selling with the honey dripping off their lips with this stuff. They don't know a damn thing about the system, and they can't convey the message, how to get things done. So that's one thing I've become quite known for, is my use of profanities and other things to express my emotions towards most of the system. And I really don't give a damn if people think that I'm professional one day and unprofessional the other. I'm going to do this just the way I see fit, I know I got an email a while back. Well, I don't like how unprofessional you were, and they were speaking in reference to one of my videos. I said, look, don't ever tell me how to run my business, okay? Especially when you're the one sitting in the car and can barely run your own. So, yeah. Anyways, let's get off of that for a minute. Laura and more. I will book with you, Jay, but I want to get the process started ASAP. Well, for those of you that are really interested in booking with me, and you've had an opportunity to binge watch, and I'm like Netflix, there's probably over 500 videos at this point, at least 300. YouTube has a history. Every 2 years, they purge about 100 of my videos, at least the ones that don't do so well. So, guys, if y'all are looking to move forward and you actually want a consultant to help you, and I'm going to, apprise you of your rights, okay? So let's just be clear. You may call a HUD specialist. That's an 800 HUD. You talk with the specialist. They'll give you a couple of minutes on the phone, work on your case, then hang up. You call a housing authority, and if they answer sometime that month, they'll help you for a minute or two as well. Your third wonderful option is calling 211 or 311. These are random people that they find in the public libraries under the bridge. They give them a keyboard, and then they connect you with phone numbers that don't work. Okay? We've all dealt with the fabulous joke of 211. Do I think 211 works for a lot of things? Yes. Do I think it works for housing? No, I don't think it does. So you don't have a lot of great options out there, but I must tell you, those options are absolutely free. You guys are always welcome to utilize whatever they'll give you, but you may not like the result. So I'm not trying to be too condescending in relation to that. So anyways, guys, I'm going to put those links again for those of you that are interested in booking and asking, but I'm not here to sell you guys anything, just having a conversation, okay? So my suggestion, guys, is, right now we're having a bit of a slow spell for April. I know the January, February, March was insane. So I do have the time to take on cases a little quicker than normal. But you guys should anticipate there will likely be a 1 month wait starting in May. And the wait is not because of me, it's because too many people always book. And so what will happen is they'll book every day, every time. And then if y'all remember last year, we were on a 1 month to 2 month wait for almost 3 months because the markets, they evicted too many people in the nation, and a lot of people just couldn't get answers. So we'll see how it plays out this time. Pink Girl Me LLC says, my name is currently not on any local housing authority waiting list. I have submitted a request to be reinstated to the waiting list for emergency housing choice voucher. Well, your better approach might be utilizing the CES or the coordinated entry system because they offer emergency vouchers where the housing authorities no longer do it. There was a fundamental change through HUD, and housing authorities no longer issue emergency housing vouchers. That stuff must be assessed at the state nonprofit level, and then they do issuance on that if you score high enough on their SPDAT or SPDAT or their COC prioritization guides, okay? If you don't have the guides, then you probably want to get your hands on some. They're rather neat because if you have both the questions and the answers, how do you think your result would end up? Moving on. City Survivor says, Amen. Lumen, Shadow Boy, it's been a minute since I've seen you, man. Good to have y'all back. Keep doing what you're doing. Amen, brother. I appreciate that. Pete Girl, me, thank you. I appreciate that. Boy, y'all have given me more thanks in this one video, I think, than my combined library. Don't forget, guys, I'm going to be back Sunday. We're going to dig deep, and I'm going to teach you some things that housing authorities probably would prefer you didn't know. In fact, a lot of things I teach, they'd rather you didn't. It's not about knowledge. It's about having their operational manuals. Once you have those, it's like you can weaponize that. Once you're fully apprised of your rights, then you can make the housing authority cooperate. See, right now, a lot of you treat the housing authority, it is a great example. It'd be like you being pulled over by the police, you get beat up. Then the next day you go to report to the police station to report them, right? And it turns out the person doing the investigation is the very person that beat you up. You guys are looking for answers from the same people who don't want to give them to you. Y'all running around calling the housing authority, hoping they're going to be nice and give you all the answers you need. Please teach me how to get you fired because I can't stand you. They're not going to do any of that stuff, nor do they have time to. And under federal law, they're not required to. So that's where I'm a little bit different. I teach y'all very well all your rights, and we work through that system. We weaponize it to favor you, because you don't just need a voucher. You don't just need a place to live. You need to functionally understand how the system works. And for most of you that are very logical, you think in a linear manner. You think that things would work the way you might imagine. They do not. Many of you that I've given you operational guides and other things that housing authorities operate by, you're often shocked or dismayed at just how differently the prioritization of people are. It doesn't work the way you think it does. Trish Knowles, I think I just stick with you. I appreciate that, Miss Knowles. Laura Ann Moore, you did not finish my question. Thanks. Well, Laura, I'll get right on that. But you got to also keep in mind, Laura, that I have a lot of questions that it's hard to track. It's like watching a stock market ticker. They try to keep up with the questions. So, LaDonna Bell. Well, I'm going to say LaDonna Bell for now. That's a cool name. I like it. I'm on Section 8 currently. I live in Kansas City, Missouri. But all my family's moved away, and I'm disabled, very disabled, and I want to see about transferring my Section 8 voucher. Well, for portability, that's the key word right there. So don't call it a transfer. You want to call it portability. Portability, your housing authority should have a portability specialist. If they don't, then it would be the director of the services for the housing authority, and then you would request portability, and then that person would make contact with the forwarding housing authority if they're not lazy. But a lot of housing authorities don't even want to do that. They'll tell you that you've got to figure out who the portability specialist is at the forwarding housing authority, the one you're at, plus you have to give a 30-day notice to vacate and a proper reason to port, okay? That's also not in lieu of also the rules where you must have been a participant of the Section 8 program under your voucher and ensuring first and foremost that you have a voucher that could be ported. So there's a lot of different elements. Your starting point will be contacting your housing authority and asking about portability. It would be a little bit too long, and I would also advise you to take a look at our portability video, which can be searchable on the website. Ooh, I'm winded already. Tamika, happy Saturday to you. Yeah, I decided to squeeze in a quick video, I guess, before I go down to the mechanic, and then giving 7 different credit cards to pay for all the problems to the truck right now, which I'm intensely upset about. So, LaDonna Bell, I want to transfer my Section 8 from Missouri to Arizona, where my son moved. I'm disabled on oxygen, and I can't hardly walk, can't move. Well, LaDonna Bell, I would suggest, like as I had mentioned prior, is reaching out to the housing authority portability specialist. In the event you're unable to handle this, or you don't want the stress and burden of dealing with it, then what would be appropriate? If you want to, you can hire me as a consultant for you. I can help you with the portability process if need be, okay? But really, I think that's something you can handle yourself. I would recommend 2 weeks casework in order to get that done. There's several steps you want to go through. Also, you want to make sure that wherever you're trying to port does actually have a market that would support you being able to utilize that voucher when you get there, and that they're not going to remove all your accommodations. See, vouchers and accommodations can be stripped from one housing authority to another. So there's a lot of things you want to think about. Because if you go and port somewhere and it doesn't work out and you don't utilize it, you could end up losing the voucher. And you could also move to somewhere where that voucher, you may not be able to use it at all. So there's a lot of things you need to take consideration before you start moving around and doing portability, okay? Well, guys, it is 6 p.m. I'm going to wrap up this video. I think we had a curious time. I apologize to those of you that I was not able to answer questions. This was supposed to be a quick video, but get with me Sunday night around 6 or 7 p.m. Texas time. That's Central Standard Time. And we're going to talk a little bit further about all of this, okay? Again, I try to answer everybody's questions. It's not always possible. The comments come in too quickly sometimes, and so it's hard to keep track. So forgive me in that matter. All right, guys, I've enjoyed talking with you. And again, I put some links and information up here. There are also links and information in the description of my video. At no time do you need to pay anybody to help you guys. I've already mentioned there are people that will help you at HUD and so on. It's just that I offer something completely different than what they do. And, well, I'll let you judge for yourself who's better at doing this. Those folks are me. So, like I said, most people know me by reputation. So it's been wonderful seeing you all, and I look forward to doing our Sunday night. And it's going to be a long one. Y'all know I can win talk for an hour, and we're going to get through a whole lot of conversation and a whole lot of topics, okay? So just go ahead and bookmark it. If you're not subscribed, I don't normally recommend people subscribe, but that's because I find it annoying when people do that. But if you want a notification when the video is live, that would be the only reason. Subscribe for that. Then when you're done watching, unsubscribe. Doesn't matter. All right, guys. Y'all have a great night. Bye.